Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com coming to you with our Wednesday weekend look-ahead video, looking ahead to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, also some spots in college basketball, the NBA, and the NHL. Over at BangTheBook.com, we're also looking ahead to the weekend. Got 4 game previews written for you on all of the divisional round matchups. We'll get Danny Vorgs' NFL power ratings either tonight or tomorrow morning, so definitely want to make sure that you check that out. We'll have some NFL best bets for this weekend as well to go along with some betting trends, system picks, all that type of stuff for the divisional round. But on a daily basis over at BangTheBook.com, we've got you covered for college basketball, the NBA, the NHL, lots of stuff going on right now, including now MLB season win totals as well. So I'm hard at work on the baseball side of things, getting all that stuff ready for the spring and our MLB betting guide. We've got some big announcements coming with that MLB betting guide. So you want to keep it tuned to BangTheBook.com and also right here on our YouTube page. I'll let you know everything that's going on. If you missed today's edition of Bang the Book Radio, a quality broadcast with Brian Leonard and Wes Reynolds, we talked NFL playoffs, NBA, college basketball, and the Sony Open in Hawaii, this week's golf event. So if you missed that, make sure you check it out. Also, if you haven't seen Brian Blessing's video here on our YouTube page for the Sony Open in Hawaii, good opportunity for you to check that out while you're here as well. If you miss anything on Bang the Book Radio, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and the segments right here on our YouTube channel. So take a look at what we've got going on out there in the betting market right now for the divisional round weekend. Got my odds screen pulled up over here, so I'll give you the most up-to-date information we've got on these games for Saturday and Sunday. We start in the AFC. Indianapolis takes on Kansas City. As I peer over at the screen here, not a whole lot of movement today. Kansas City still a 5 or 5.5 point favorite, depending on where you look for this matchup. Total very high up there in the 57 range. And, this is one of those things where we're going to see action come in on this game. We saw an initial move on the Chiefs from sharp bettors early in the week. Once we got up to 6, some number grabbers did come back in on Indianapolis. Now, I do think Kansas City winds up being the sharp side here in this game, with public money relatively split. I mean, you're talking about Pat Mahomes with 50 touchdown passes. You're talking about Andrew Luck and the great season that he's had. I got to think that public money does like both sides in this game a little bit. Maybe some sharp money does as well, but I do think that we're more likely to see 6 pop back up than we are to see this line go back down to 4. Maybe we get a 4.5, depending on how much influential action comes in on the Colts. But I would expect this game to either close 5.5 or 6, with the Chiefs probably taking some late sharp money here in this one. That total of 57 up from 55.5. I would expect over money to continue coming in for this game. That may end up being both a sharp and public side for Saturday afternoon or evening. We go to the late game here, Dallas and the Rams. Rams 7-point favorite. Some places still dealing minus 115. Some of the more public offshore books dealing 7 minus 110 would suggest there that Dallas a little bit of a public side in this game. I do think that's probably the way that this one shakes out. The Rams did not play well down the stretch in the regular season. Had a couple of nice wins over the Cardinals and 49ers, but that's not going to move the needle for anybody. Todd Gurley's still banged up. He will play, but a little bit of gamesmanship going on from Sean McVay and that Rams coaching staff here. I happen to like the Rams in this spot. I like that their offensive line is healthier now with that bye week. But of course, we'll see what happens with the price for this game. Again, Rams 7-point favorite. Really haven't seen much movement on this game at all whatsoever. Total 49.5. Once again, just like the side, haven't seen any of the sharp bettors really tip their hands on this game yet. I do think that is something that will be coming as we get closer to the weekend. We move over to Sunday here. Chargers versus Patriots, first game on the board. By now, everybody knows about this spot for the Chargers. Third road game in 3 weeks. At Denver in week 17. At Baltimore last week. At New England this week. 3 very tough road games. 1 in altitude, 2 with cross-country travel. And of course, for the Chiefs here in this spot as well, or for the Chargers in this spot here as well, playing another early kickoff, 10 a.m. body clock. They couldn't just hang out on the East Coast because they didn't really have all of their travel plans finalized. Weren't even sure if they were going to beat Baltimore. So they go all the way back home to L.A. Now they'll go back up to Foxborough. Brady and Belichick at home in the playoffs, 19-3 straight up, 12-7-1 against the number. So far, the Chargers have taken the love in this game from +5 to +4. Total on this one, 46.5 or 47. Not a whole lot of movement on the total thus far, but the Chargers have taken some early money here. I'll be curious to see when we start to see Patriots money, because we should see Patriots money from both sharp and public bettors in this game, I think. I think the Patriots will be a popular sharp side with the bad travel spot for the Chargers. Also, with what we know about Bill Belichick and the way that he's able to take away the opposition's best players. And of course, it's Tom Brady at home in the playoffs. That's always going to get love, whether it's public or sharp in nature. So I would expect to see New England take some money here. My guess is this number closes 4.5. I would love to see a 3.5. I'll take a New England position at that point. But I think New England in the second half will be very interesting in this game, especially if the Chargers do show a little bit of fatigue. But as of now, here as we're recording this on Wednesday afternoon, early evening, not a whole lot of movement in this game since that initial move on the Chargers from +5 down to +4. That will change as we get closer to the weekend and as a lot of people get involved in this game. But for right now, still anybody's guess, where this number winds up going. My guess, personally, is that we do see some Patriots money bump this number back up into the 4.5 range. One more game in the divisional round, that is Philadelphia and New Orleans. Saints an 8-point favorite here at home in this game. Total on this one in the 50.5 range. Not a whole lot of movement on side or total for this game either. And, I thought early in the week when I wrote my 4 previews for the divisional round games here, I thought that this weekend was much tougher than the wild card weekend. The lack of odds movement out there in the marketplace suggests that a lot of people probably do feel the same way that I do here, sort of waiting for the cap to get taken off of the market a little bit, waiting for some sharp investment to come in. And as limits increase on Thursday, we should get a better idea of what to expect from these 4 games. As far as this one goes here, you do have to wonder, if the Eagles still had Carson Wentz, and if the Eagles were able to beat the Bears with Carson Wentz, and of course get into the playoffs in general with Carson Wentz, what would this number look like? Would this number be 9? Would this number be 10? Is that Nick Foles magic, or aura, if you want to call it that, keeping this number a little bit low? I'm not sure. I do think that could be a popular position out there, but of course it is hard to lay over a touchdown with a Saints team that offensively didn't look that great coming down the stretch. Drew Brees, very pedestrian in his last 3 or 4 games. The running game not quite as potent for New Orleans late in the season as well. They were winning with defense. Is that going to be the case in this game? If it is, maybe you'd rather look towards the under as opposed to that big number here and either taking Philadelphia with the big points or laying the big points with New Orleans. I'm not really sure which way to go with this game, and I'm really not sure which way the line moves on this game either. I think you will see some public money very happy to take Nick Foles over a touchdown, but you may also see some Saints money here with them off the bye, the narrative and the perception of Drew Brees at home in the Superdome. And keep in mind here too, this is only the 6th home game in the Drew Brees era in New Orleans in the playoffs for the Saints. That dates back to 2006. Very interesting stat there that I found earlier on in the week. So the NFL will take center stage on Saturday and Sunday, but there are some situational spots that I've got my eye on here across college basketball, the NHL, and the NBA for this weekend. Let's start on the college side of things, because now we're into conference play. We have a lot of really good matchups coming up here every single weekend on the college hardwood. Couple of spots I want to point out to you here. This is not to say that these are plays. I am not endorsing that at all, but just some food for thought as we head on into this weekend. And here's one in particular, the Kansas Jayhawks. They are 12-2 on the season. Both of their losses coming in their 2 true road games. One at Arizona State, one at Iowa State, Hilton Coliseum, very tough place to play. Now they do go down to Waco here this weekend on Saturday to take on the Baylor Bears. Baylor Bears not really playing as well as Iowa State. The Farrell Center doesn't have as much of a defined home court advantage as Hilton Coliseum, but Kansas has not played well on the road. And with Azubuike out for the season now with that torn ligament in his hand, they lose one of those energy types of guys. Good rebounder, big physical player. They lose one of those guys that's a big help when you go out on the road particularly in Big 12 play, where we see a lot of home road dichotomies. So, very interesting spot there for Kansas coming up this weekend. They will be a favorite, not sure by how much, but for right now, it is a little bit tricky to take Kansas when they're playing out on the road. You've got a big game between TCU and Oklahoma. TCU playing a big game against Kansas this week. So back-to-back real big tests for Jamie Dixon's team. Look for those situational spots here where these teams, they haven't been tested in back-to-back games for the most part because a lot of them played weaker non-conference schedules or something like that. When you get two big-time energy-draining games back-to-back, sometimes that can be a little bit of a tough spot for that team. Maybe TCU in a situation like that here coming up on Saturday. Very important to look around for the best options that you can find. And over at BangTheBook.com, I'll post on the front page my article that I wrote last season about how to bet the big Saturday cards, because a lot of those concepts and philosophies still very much relevant here now. And of course, with people transitioning from college football into college basketball, it's a good chance to republish that article up there, give you some food for thought. So keep an eye out for that on Friday night over at BangTheBook.com on our homepage. Not necessarily the weekend here, but I want to go to the NHL for a second. Really good spot on Friday night. The Buffalo Sabres take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Standalone road game for Buffalo. This has been a very profitable Friday night angle for the Carolina Hurricanes over the last couple of seasons. When they get these teams in these standalone road game spots, that's the spot for Buffalo on Friday night. The Sabres will host Tampa Bay on Saturday. So big-time division game, opportunity to get a crack at the best team in the NHL and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Makes Friday's game very difficult for the Sabres. Even if Buffalo comes out with a victory in this game, I think we can get some line value playing Carolina on the overnights, which is why I mentioned it here on this Wednesday video. Probably mention this again on my Thursday 3-pack video tomorrow. But if you take Carolina early, I think you should get some line value on the Hurricanes. We've seen a fade of the Sabres pretty regularly in the marketplace, and the spot here definitely does help out Carolina. So I'm looking for that one here on Friday night. And you can check out my situational betting article for the NHL every week over at BangTheBook.com. I want to spend a minute here on the NBA as well, because I think we've got a pretty good spot on Saturday with a team that will be a decent road favorite. That's the Boston Celtics. They're taking on the Orlando Magic. Celtics are in a tough spot tomorrow night on Thursday night, which, who knows, depending on the line, may wind up being one of my Thursday 3-pack plays. But Orlando coming off of a 6-game, 10-day road trip. They were out west. That first game back after a road trip tends to be a pretty good fade spot for teams. So I like Boston a little bit here on Saturday night. Obviously, this will be price dependent, but this is something you want to add to your handicapping repertoire, is to look at the schedule, circle some spots. Don't blindly play them, but get an idea for what you like during the week. Circle those, come back to those. It can be something that can really help you from a time management standpoint. That's one of the functions of that situational betting article over at BangTheBook.com. So I encourage everyone to check that out, but also keep in mind that spot on Saturday for Boston on the road in Orlando, getting away from the cold and gray and dreariness of the Boston area in the wintertime, getting down to the Sunshine State, enjoying some of that vitamin D, maybe gives them a nice little kick in Saturday's game. But that's some of the stuff you can expect to read over at BangTheBook.com. We're very proud of the work that's being done over there and very proud of what we're able to bring to you here on our YouTube channel as well. I'm Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com.